So I have to say, humans are without a doubt some of the most interesting creatures in the entire universe, both for good and bad reasons. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you have probably heard about the horrific and, well, potentially avoidable tragedy that took place with the Titan submersible by Ocean Gate. Now, I gotta talk about something, believe it or not, that has to do with cruising that is somewhat tied to this situation. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's stupid. And of course, this situation, many of you already know the story. Just to give you a little context, there's a CEO, was a CEO at this point in time, unfortunately, by the name of Stockton Rush, who allegedly rushed the idea of having a tourist-like submersible that would take expedition adventures down 13,000 feet or 4,000 meters to the ruins of the Titanic. Sounds harmless, right? Well, not really, of course. And a lot of people are saying that this submersible was, of course, rushed. It looked a little jerry-rigged, and well, for the price of $250,000 or $250,000 a seat, you could go and experience the Titanic through a window at those depths and the pressure, which unfortunately the submersible did succumb to. And many believe now, a lot of media sources and scientists as well believe it imploded on itself, killing all of the five passengers on board instantly. Now, on board, you did have, well, five billionaires, technically four. There were four men and a billionaire's son. And I will say before we continue, of course, my condolences do go out to the friends, family, and loved ones of these unfortunate passengers that have now believed to be passed away. This is absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm going to speak some more on that later in the video. But I want to talk about this because, believe it or not, there are people that are relating this to cruising and cruising adventures. There are humans out there on Reddit forums and Facebook groups. You can go check for yourself. I was gonna like post a bunch of like the screenshots and everything, but just go see it for yourself. It's absolutely ridiculous. They are stating that moving forward, there are people that not only are, they're saying they're canceling cruises, they're never going to snorkel, they're never going to scuba dive, and they're definitely never ever going to jump on any of the adventurous like submarines that are in places like over in the Bahamas, as well as over in Cozumel, because they don't want to die. The reason I say humans are interesting is because whenever there is a tragedy such as this with the Ocean Gate submersible, or anything that is going viral, whether it be online or just all around the world in general, people will flock to these stories in the most ridiculous and potentially negative ways. For example, you guys remember that situation that happened in Mexico? I guess there was a lady and her friends that decided to go down there to, I don't know, get liposuction or something. We don't know the full scoop of that. But next thing you know, you have people like idiots saying they're never, ever, ever going to Mexico. And same thing when it comes to, let's say, the war with Ukraine and Russia. People are saying anytime I go to Europe, for example, which I'm about to do so tomorrow, actually, whenever I go to these places, people are like, oh, well, dude, you're going to France, but what about the war? You mean what's going on literally like the other side of the world? People run with these crazy notions that whenever something happens, for some reason, everything else that is even remotely in kind of, sort of, but not really that category is also affected in a potential risk. Well, I would always say that there is a risk to everything in life. I could walk outside of my door and fall down my steps on accident and break my neck. There's a lot of things that can happen. You guys drive cars every day. Do you know that most car accidents typically happen, I believe it's just miles away from your home or your place of origin? The fact that people are now all of a sudden saying, well, I don't want to get on any of these submarines that are for tourists over in these cruise ports because I don't want the same thing to happen to me, what happened to all of these other five poor souls that unfortunately lost their lives. Here's the difference. First of all, the submarine you are going to be in, submarine, not submersible, it's much bigger and well equipped as well for such tourist adventures. There's a difference. It's very technologically advanced. You are also not going down 13,000 feet. These submarines that you'll see in Cozumel and Nassau, they typically go anywhere between 20 to up to maybe 100 and some change feet. Meaning, if there is something that goes wrong, first of all, there are a lot of contingency plans. Unlike the submersible, there is a way for you to get out. You are not bolted in there, and you damn sure are not using a video game controller to control the entire ship, which is wireless, and should something happen, like what things do with all kinds of tech, you don't have to worry about such things when it comes to a submarine versus a submersible. I'll be honest with you guys, I was this close to booking my flight to go to Mexico to, of course, do some scuba diving, as well as jumping on that submarine, because by the looks of it and the reviews that are getting put up on all the online sites now because of this submersible situation with Ocean Gate, I would have had the whole dang thing to myself, and it probably would have got a lot of views. I'm not going to lie to you guys. However, I already have my flight booked to head to Miami tomorrow and then Europe the following day, so I couldn't do it. But But when it comes to this situation, I'm just telling you guys this because there are a lot of people that get very fearful very quickly, and they end up making some dumb decisions that, well, it's going to affect their life in a negative way. And by that I mean, I do believe in living life to the fullest. I believe in, of course, being somewhat risk averse and taking calculated risk in life, because life is meant to be lived and not living like a hermit crab inside of your house. Those are the most miserable people in the entire world. And before I get out of here, when it comes to this situation with Stockton Rush, as well as the 5 passengers that passed away, once again, this is a tragic, very sad situation. I've seen all kinds of jokes and very horrible, mean things that people are saying, and I think it's so disrespectful. I don't understand it. But what I will say against Stockton Rush when it comes to this situation, I believe innovation as a society and as humans are very, very important. We are designed this way to have some type of a drive for discovery. And I understand in this modern world now, we feel like there is no need for such things. Look at what's happened in, I want to say, the last 10 to 15 years with technology, cell phones alone. You remember back in the early 2000s, we had that indestructible Nokia that everybody had, and unless you had AT&T, well, AT&T, you would be allowed to have free minutes unlimited after 7 p.m., and then everybody else had 9 p.m. Look at how far we've come. I believe it's important. Same with the Wright brothers and flights. However, when it comes to Stockton Rush, first of all, I'm disappointed. I'm sad because he could have potentially been the guy that paved the way for tourist exploration on submarines deeper than what these tourist ones go to, where you're talking about 100 feet. We could have gone hundreds of feet for those that would be, well, let's say adventurous enough to take on that challenge and have such an adventure and an experience. But now, because he decided to, as he called it, he said he took a lot of shortcuts, right? I believe there's nothing wrong with putting yourself potentially at risk and for the greater good, I guess I could call it. However, when you put everyone else in danger by this, those other 4 passengers on board, and of course the child was only 19 years old, and I heard he didn't even want to go. He only went because he wanted to have some bonding time with his dad for Father's Day. Truly heartbreaking. Seriously, I can't even imagine. What I'm saying is the man was without a doubt a genius. However, he made some dumb decisions. There should never be any corners cut when you're talking about something such as taking a submarine down 4,000 meters to the bottom of the ocean. And for that reason, and putting other lives in danger, well, that fault is his and the company's alone. There is no question about it. Very, very dumb move. And should something like this happen again, where they're looking at some more, let's say, underwater explorations going lower than a couple hundred feet or whatever it is for a tourist attraction, never cut corners. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But I just wanted to put this message out there because I see a lot of people that are making dumb decisions, canceling experiences that they would have had that probably would have stayed with them forever and maybe potentially have been one of the best things that they have ever done in their life. That's all I got to say here. I know this video is very random, very late this evening. I have a lot of packing to do and all that stuff, but just know as usual, I love you guys. I appreciate all of you. Hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know this video is not particularly pertaining to cruising alone, but I think it was a topic that honestly I just kind of wanted to cover. I wanted to cover the whole story with Ocean Gate, but me personally, I was so invested. I was literally on my toes watching every single video that came out. I didn't want to sit there and report day by day, hour by hour on every situation. But like I said, let me know your thoughts. I appreciate all of you guys. I love all of you, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.